The NTCA Reference Manual is going through a series of edits and updates, and the NTCA Technical Committee is sure to have some lively discussion at their meeting prior to Coverings 2023.
Basically, the problem that we're trying to address with both the installer and the specifier is to create expectations that are consistent with the performance of the product.
Each of the 10 chapters in the reference manual is being assigned to a subcommittee of the NTCA Technical Committee for review, discussion, and if needed, the incorporation of new information. Since the scope of each chapter, whether it's substrates, grouts, or specialized installation procedures, for example, can vary greatly depending on the subject matter, the update is a massive undertaking. The project began a little over a year ago when Technical Committee member Dan Lambert offered several edits. As the project expanded, it is now expected to be ongoing, given that each chapter review subcommittee will need to bring proposed changes before the entire committee for discussion and a vote. One of the new updates scheduled to be discussed at the Coverings 2023 meeting is sweeping compounds. As part of the new silica standards, dry sweeps are discouraged with some products because silica can become airborne. Yet as MAPE Director of Technical Services Jim Whitfield explains, using a sweeping compound can contribute to a loss of bond if it's not removed properly prior to installing the tile assembly.
And the problem with many of the sweeping compounds that are out there, they're either oil or wax-based. That puts a coating on the floor and can affect the bond of not just tile, but other floor coverings as well.
Whitfield says he'll propose the inclusion of a technical bulletin to the existing loss of bond document that's already in the NTCA Reference Manual to help contractors make sure the substrate is free of any compound residue.
We don't want failures. That's probably the most important thing. And if we've got a coating on the floor and it fails because of contamination, which is what this would be, we got a failure. And that's the last thing we want. So we want to make sure it's a good substrate, the best opportunity for a good bond and a long-lasting installation.
Handmade Tile is a specialty product that has yet to be included in the reference manual. Jan Hahn of Hahn & Hahn Tile in St. Paul has been heading up a subcommittee on the installation of handmade tile. She will present a white paper under construction for the last year, explaining the nuances to installing handmade tile.
One of the big considerations is that you have tiles that are not the same size. When you have machine-made tiles, they are all the same within tolerance, very close tolerances. With handmade tiles, a square tile, a 3-inch square tile, could be anything from 2.5 inches to 3.25 inch, and individual tiles that are made in the same firing, in the same kiln, could vary up to even 1/4 inch in difference in facial dimensions. So that's one issue. The other issue is the tiles may not be square. They could be a quadrilateral, they could be a parallelogram, anything with 4 sides, but it doesn't have to be really square. And so because of that, you have to make these tiles look like they are all square and evenly distributed, with the grout joints looking like they're straight. And in order to do that, it takes a little bit of extra time and effort and putting those tiles on the wall to make it look really wonderful.
Hahn says that while installers follow a TCNA method for installing handmade tile, she explains that it's an artistic undertaking, and she hopes this white paper will alleviate any fears a contractor may have.
If you haven't installed it before, it's a little tricky, and especially for someone for the first time. If you're doing it for someone else as an installer or contractor, you don't want to have to do a tear out, right after you install it. So this just kind of will help you have the confidence to install it properly.
While Chapter 7 of the reference manual includes many specialized installation procedures, including some prerequisites and considerations for successful balconies and decks, John Cox of Cox Tile in San Antonio found that installers needed more information in the field pertaining to installing tile on existing balconies.
And the balcony is generally flat, and so any water that permeates into the mud bed just sits there and adds weight to the structure. The architect leaves it up to the tile contractor to make the slope, and it's a real problem if it's not done properly.
The subcommittee composed a white paper that explores the many considerations in retrofitting a flat balcony with a tile assembly. Water is a primary issue, how it will drain with proper slope, installing a secondary waterproofing material, and how penetrations will be handled.
Scott Conwell's done a great job, as well as the guys from Custom, in creating drawings, dictating and showing what the components are in making a non-slope surface drain properly. There is a standard on balconies that have slope in the substrate, but there are no methods approved because of ANSI and TCA that approve a flat non-slope substrate.
Additional topics the technical committee will discuss include working with cement-based tile, the difference between cement tile and encaustic tile, 2 cm porcelain pavers on a pedestal system, modular construction, backer board over tub shower flanges, and information about adhesives on sheet mosaics. The NTCA Technical Committee meets on Monday, April 17th from 1 to 4 p.m. in room S310 ABC. Guests are welcome to attend the meeting as observers. Coverings 2023 runs April 18th to 21st at the Orange County Convention Center in Orlando, Florida. This is Chris Woelfel.